Emma's cheek stung where her stepmother had slapped her. She lay on the cold stone floor of the cellar, her body aching, her dress torn at the shoulder. The wooden door at the top of the stairs had been locked hours ago. "Please," she had begged. "I didn't mean to burn the bread." But Margaret never wanted to hear excuses. Now Emma pulled her thin shawl tighter. The November cold crept through the walls like invisible fingers. Above, she could hear footsteps. Her stepsisters, Victoria and Constance, were probably preparing for tomorrow's festival, trying on their fine dresses, laughing. Emma remembered a different time, when her father was healthy, when her mother was alive, when the bakery smelled of cinnamon and kindness. That was before everything changed. The cellar door creaked open. Her father's voice, weak and tired. "Emma, come up now." Emma climbed the stairs on shaking legs. 2 weeks later, the autumn festival arrived. The whole town gathered in the square. Merchants sold roasted chestnuts. Musicians played fiddles. Children ran with painted faces. Emma was not allowed to go. "Someone must mind the bakery," Margaret said, adjusting her feathered hat. "And since you burned those loaves, that someone is you." "But father always closed the shop for festivals," Emma protested. "Your father is too ill to make decisions. I make them now." Victoria and Constance paraded past in their festival dresses, giggling. "Poor Emma," Victoria cooed, "all alone." The door slammed shut. Emma stood in the empty bakery, listening to the music and laughter outside. She was 17 years old, and she felt ancient. She turned to the oven. At least she could bake. She was pulling out honey rolls when she heard the knock. Strange. Everyone was at the festival. She opened the door. A young man stood there, soaked and shaking. His dark hair was plastered to his face. His clothes, though muddy, looked expensive. Blood seeped through a bandage on his left arm. "Please," he gasped, "I need help." Emma pulled him inside without hesitation. "Sit here." Emma guided him to a chair by the hearth. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing," he said, but his face was pale. "It's not nothing." Emma fetched clean rags. "What happened?" "I was robbed. On the North Road. 3 men took everything." She unwrapped the dirty bandage. The wound was deep. "Why didn't you go to the constable?" "I can't." His eyes were startlingly blue. "There are people looking for me. Dangerous people." Emma should have sent him away. A strange man with secrets? This meant trouble. But there was honesty in his eyes. "There's a storage room behind the bakery," Emma said slowly. "You can stay tonight, but tomorrow you leave." Relief flooded his face. "Thank you. I'm Thomas." She helped him to the storage room, gave him bread and water, and locked the door. Then she returned to her work, mind spinning. Who was he? And why had she agreed to help? Over 3 days, Thomas stayed hidden. Emma brought him food and changed his bandages. Slowly, they began to talk. "You're young to run a bakery," Thomas said. "It's my father's. I just help." Emma stirred dough, "though I do most of the work now." "And your stepmother?" Emma didn't answer. She didn't need to. Thomas saw the bruise on her wrist. "She hurts you," he said quietly. "I manage." "That's not the same as being safe." Emma laughed bitterly. "I haven't been safe since my mother died. but I survive. Thomas was quiet for a long moment. You deserve better than survival. Those words stayed with Emma. On the fourth day, Victoria came to the bakery. Mother wants you upstairs, now. Emma's blood went cold. In the sitting room, Margaret sat with Constance. Both wore cruel smiles. We've heard rumors about a young man near our bakery. Where is he? I don't know what. The slap came fast. Emma stumbled. Where is he? Emma said nothing. Search the house, Margaret ordered. Victoria ran downstairs. Emma heard doors slamming. Then silence. Victoria returned, frustrated. He's gone. Relief flooded through Emma. Thomas had escaped. You helped a criminal, Margaret hissed. Back to the cellar. The constable came the next day with men in official uniforms. They questioned Emma for hours. Do you know where Thomas Alderwood is? The constable asked. No, he left Daysboro. Do you know who he is? He said his name was Thomas. The constable leaned forward. His full name is Thomas Edward Alderwood. He's not a criminal. He paused. He's the prince. The world tilted. What? Prince Thomas disappeared 3 weeks ago after an assassination attempt. He fled while we hunted the traitors, but enemies spread rumors that he was a criminal to turn people against him. Emma's mind reeled. The stranger she had fed and bandaged? He was the prince? They searched everywhere but found nothing. Finally, they left. That night, a crow tapped Emma's window. Tied to its leg was a message. Emma, you saved my life. Trust me. T. She burned it in her candle flame. 3 days later, a royal carriage arrived in the town square. Victoria burst into the bakery, flushed with excitement. The prince is here. We must all attend. Emma followed her stepfamily to the square. The entire town had gathered. On a raised platform stood Thomas. He wore deep blue velvet and a gold circlet. He looked every inch a prince. But when his eyes found Emma, she saw the same person from the storage room. Good people, Thomas called out. I come to thank someone in this town who showed me kindness when I had nothing. He walked through the crowd. It parted before him. He stopped in front of Emma. Margaret gasped. This girl, Emma, saved my life, Thomas said. She asked for nothing, expected nothing, but she will receive everything. Thomas gestured. A servant brought forward a wooden box. Emma's mother, Catherine, served my mother, the Queen, before she married Henry the baker. Catherine once saved the Queen's life. My mother gave her a promise. If Catherine or her children ever needed help, the crown would provide it. He lifted a silver pendant from the box, a rose within a circle. Emma recognized it. She had seen it once in her mother's hidden box. Margaret found this pendant, Thomas said, coldly. She knew what it meant. She hid it because she didn't want Emma to claim her inheritance. The crowd murmured angrily. You've mistreated this girl, beaten her, starved her, worked her like a slave. He turned to Emma. Your mother's family was noble. You have inheritance rights, land, income, your birthright. He placed the pendant in her hands. More than that, you can come to the palace, serve as my advisor. Help me build a better kingdom. Why me? Emma whispered. Because you showed kindness when you had every reason not to. Because I need a friend who tells me the truth. Emma said goodbye to her father. He was weak, but clear-eyed. Your mother would be so proud, he whispered. Go. Be happy. Be free. I love you, Papa. I love you too, my girl. The palace was beyond anything Emma had imagined. White stone towers, gardens stretching for miles. Thomas gave her a room larger than the entire bakery. This is too much, she whispered. It's not enough, Thomas said. Over the following weeks, Emma learned to navigate court life. But Thomas also kept his promise. He brought her to council meetings, asked her opinions. You understand common people's struggles, he explained. That makes you invaluable. Emma discovered a talent for seeing through lies. When merchants proposed unfair taxes, she exposed them. When nobles suggested cutting school funding, she argued so passionately the council reversed their decision. You're making enemies, Thomas warned one evening. In the gardens. Should I stop? Never. 3 months later, trouble began. Duke Harrington, a powerful noble, started spreading rumors. Emma was manipulating the prince. She was dangerous. Then came the threatening letter under her door. Leave before something terrible happens. At the next council meeting, Harrington made his move. Your Highness, we must discuss the peasant rebellions in the north. They blame your advisor for bad counsel. I'd like to investigate, Emma said calmly. Send me north. Let me hear their grievances myself. Harrington looked startled. Thomas smiled. We'll both go. In the northern provinces, they found no rebellion, just confused farmers. Rebellion? No rebellion here, miss. Harrington lied, Emma realized. But why? Thomas stopped pacing. Unless he planned to create one, to discredit you. They rolled through the night back to the palace. They found chaos. Duke Harrington stood in the throne room with armed men. Your Highness, there's been a terrible accident. A fire in your mother's quarters. I'm quite alive, the Queen said, emerging with guards, though someone barred my doors and set the fire. Arrest him, Thomas commanded. The investigation revealed everything. Harrington had been embezzling funds for years. He'd planned to kill the Queen, blame rebels, and seize power during chaos. He'd needed a scapegoat, a commoner to blame for the kingdom's problems. Thomas exiled him. Later, in the gardens, Thomas took Emma's hand. I've been thinking about the future, he said. That sounds ominous. It's not. I hope it's not. He took a breath. Emma, you've proven yourself invaluable, not just to me, but to the kingdom. I've tried to help. You've done more than help. You changed everything. He squeezed her hand. I don't want you to leave, ever. I mean, I want you to stay as more than an advisor. Emma's heart pounded. I love you, Thomas said in a rush. I've loved you since that first night. I love you through every council meeting where you spoke truth, every walk, every conversation. I want to marry you. He knelt. Emma, will you marry me? She looked at him, this prince who had stumbled into her bakery, who had become her friend and the keeper of her heart. Yes, she said. Yes. Some nobles were horrified. A baker's daughter as princess? But the common people loved it. One of their own would wear a crown. Emma's father came to the palace, healthier than he'd been in months. Palace physicians had treated his illness. I'm so proud, he whispered when he saw Emma in her blue silk wedding dress. Your mother would be so proud. The ceremony was beautiful. When the priest asked if anyone objected, tense silence filled the cathedral, but no one spoke. I pronounce you husband and wife." The cathedral erupted in cheers. Months after the wedding, Emma asked Thomas to take her somewhere. Home. My old home. They traveled with 2 guards. The bakery looked smaller, sadder. The door was locked. "What happened?" Emma asked a merchant. "The baker died. His widow and daughters left town. The bakery's been empty since." Emma's father had passed peacefully at the palace, Emma holding his hand. "What should we do with it?" Thomas asked. Emma smiled. "I have an idea." 6 months later, the bakery reopened as a school, a place where poor children could learn to read, write, do arithmetic, where young girls could learn trades. Emma visited often, sometimes teaching students how to knead dough. "Why a school?" Thomas asked. "Because I was lucky. My parents taught me to read, to think. Not every child has that chance. I want to give them hope, knowledge, a way out." "You're going to change the kingdom." "We're going to change it," Emma corrected. "Together."